welcome to the Art of Mindfulness with Patrick Dalrymple. Today we are going to start off by exploring what a line on the whiteboard, what can it produce within ourselves? And by that I mean, if I were to draw a line, what can it make me think of? So, all right, so we drew a line here. Let's do almost like a half triangle. And it reminds me of a person trying to maybe push something that's heavy up a hill. And we've all been there, maybe literally, if you're a construction worker or some type of laborer. We've all lifted things that are heavy. And we can also, I think we also need to realize that we lift emotions that are heavy. We try to lift them. And so oftentimes we can find ourselves trying to, another word for maybe lifting is like combating. So we're trying to combat difficult emotions. Some emotions that are difficult include what we classify as anger. That's a big one, because anger oftentimes has a reaction associated to it. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that for just 2 seconds. So let's say this is your body, there's something called, in mindfulness, called inner body awareness. And inner body awareness is all about, as a human being, all about bringing your so-called beingness, that sense of aliveness, bringing that into your attention, and with your attention going to that anger, allowing yourself to take a deep breath while you're experiencing that. Oh, I feel angry right now. And you allow yourself to feel that. You can even declare it, I feel angry. And that declaration is a sign that your awareness is growing. And just the fact that you're able to be aware of the fact that you're angry. Some people are not aware that they're angry, and they are the anger. So you allow yourself to feel this emotion, and oftentimes we can feel anger sort of like in the heart area. And let's make this guy a little sad and a little frustrated. Let's say he's waiting at an airport and things are going really good for him. He lost his luggage and he's missing family dinner, a Christmas dinner, and things are just not going well for, let's call him Bert. Bert is mad. He's a mad dude. Mad dude. Oftentimes I do little drawings that represent a cool dude, but he's a mad dude today. So Bert is angry. So if I was with Bert, I would say, Bert, I want you to feel this anger. Just touch the surface level of it. You don't have to go deep within it, because anger is a very difficult emotion to feel, and it's very uncomfortable. You just touch the surface level of it, and that will be enough to get you used to the feeling. And mindfulness is all about getting used to feeling human. And Bert has a hard time being within his body because he has a lot of hurt within his heart, and a lot of things trigger him, and he's very reactory. And so if I was with Bert, as mentioned, I would tell Bert, feel the surface level of this anger, and after you felt the surface level, I want you, Bert, to take a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine that a little bit of that anger gets released from your body. And that is the process of surrendering. So Bert is surrendering a tiny little bit of that anger, and the anger gets a little bit less, just a little bit less. And then I tell Bert, keep focusing on your breath, and tell me where you feel the anger in your body. And Bert tells me, well, I love doing this on the shows. It's like mentioning the hand and incorporating the hand. So Bert tells me I feel the anger. It's like in my hands. I want to hit somebody, or I want to hit something. So I tell Bert, allow yourself to keep taking deep breaths. And with each exhalation, first of all, you hold it in. You feel where your pain is, because anger is a form of pain. It's painful. So you feel it, you let go, and after a slight moment of relaxation, Bert tells me that he feels the anger maybe a bit less. It's lessened. So the anger kind of becomes diminished just a little bit, to the point where it just feels like you can't really classify it anymore. It becomes more of like a depressed mood, or guilt, or shame that you became so angry and reactionary. And so, because you now have stepped back, you've given yourself time to, so to speak, cool off, you look back. You oftentimes will analyze what we've done and said, and that can be a form of suffering if we're constantly in our thoughts and analyzing the situation and reliving it. That's a form of unresolved, unprocessed emotional distress. And the way to process emotion, there's many ways. You can go for a walk, you can go out in nature, which we'll do later on in the show. There's also, what I love to do is, there's like a 3-step process, and I mentioned this in the other shows. So the 3-step process is you recognize the anger, you recognize that it's there. And it doesn't have to be anger, but we're just picking that for today's show. So you recognize that there's anger. Oh yes, I feel this, and I'm glad I feel it, because I want to heal. I want to be able to release this from my body, because my body just feels uncomfortable with this, and it's causing me to get sick. And so you feel it. You feel it with compassion. And you might be saying, how do I feel compassionate when I feel anger, like anger at the same time? Well, the compassion comes after you have felt it, and when it becomes intense, because you go to the surface level, and then your body will or your spirit will automatically want to go deeper into it in order to heal it, and that's when it becomes intense. And once it becomes very overwhelming, don't see it as a bad sign. So once it becomes overwhelming and you feel yourself getting stressed and anxious, that is just a sign that you've recognized an unconscious behavior within yourself. And the intensity will be there, and then you let it go. And this is the most important part. You let go of that pain. And even if it's a surface level that you've let go, you don't have to let all of it go. You just let a tiny little bit of it go, and you do that each day. And each day you go into your body, whether it be for 5 minutes, whether it be for 10, 20, 30, an hour. You sit there, you feel every part of your body. So you go, let's say this is me. You go up and down your body, and left to right, and even in the center. And you go up and down, so you start, I'm going to use a different color for this. We're going to use a pink color, because pink to me represents a very loving female energy. So you bring that loving energy into your body, you explore where the sensations are that are discomforting to you. And as you do this, so let's say this is the energy that you're using, Awareness is love itself, but we don't recognize it as love because awareness is aware of our pain. And so we mistake who we are for the pain in our bodies, but really who we are is the ones feeling, is the thing, the being feeling the body and its pain. So, and let's say this is the loving being. Well, because it's loving, it's very aware, and sometimes it'll get little bits of discomfort, but other times it'll get a big discomfort, and then you might start to panic and you might start to feel anxiety. But here is where we follow the 3-step process. In the last process, well, we can kind of go through it again. You feel it, you allow this pink energy of love, of compassion, of awareness to feel it. It won't feel good, but that's part of the healing process. And so you feel it. Once it becomes too intense, that's when you take a deep breath and you say, I am letting go of this. And oftentimes what happens, and it can happen in the first ever moment of letting go, you might get a glimpse of who you truly are, which is this awareness. And that's when you realize, oh, there's like a vibration. Every time I do this, every time I release this energy, there's a vibration of purity. It's like it's there. It's not always obvious because we've been conditioned not to feel our emotions. But what I'm saying is that it's okay. It's okay to feel your emotions. And once they become too intense, like anything else, you hold the hand of the loving being that you are, and you look at it and you say, can you help me release this? And it releases from your body slowly but surely. Sometimes for people it happens very fast, and they describe that as like a spiritual awakening where their spirit kind of woke up and they feel themselves to be the spirit, and they don't get any sort of sense that their body is dense anymore, or that they are holding on to so-called negative energy. And so, but for most people, the spiritual processes, or just the life process in general, you don't even need to say it's spiritual. The life process is a process of healing past wounds and discovering that you are on an evolutionary journey in which your evolution is to, in a spiritual sense, become lighter and lighter, and to dissolve those karmic attachments that are causing you so much pain. And I know I'm jumping the gun and I'm going right into spirituality, but I think I'm a spiritual person, and I try to bring wisdom in what I say and experience. I wouldn't be saying this if I felt that I wasn't true. So my honesty to you is that I feel like this is true. And so it kind of goes like this. So let's say this is you at 20 years old. So you have a dense body that is very full of pain. And then at 25, you've been working on that. You've been feeling it. You feel the intensity, you release it. And then at 30, 35, 40, the more you practice this, the more that pain starts to kind of dissolve until you reach an age where you're maybe 60, and the pain that you felt yourself to be becomes this, it almost becomes like this void that is, I know that sounds weird when I say that, but I felt that void a couple of times, and it becomes like almost this loving, empty, everything's gonna be all right. And that's when you know you're fully healed. And you know you're healed when nothing really bothers you, and you find compassion in even the worst things. And that's hard to explain to someone who has a dense pain body. But I'm here to just guide you through this healing journey. And so, because it's a healing journey, we're just gonna draw some hearts, because this is a loving show. And I'd love to do a little quick meditation with you. So with your eyes closed, you can choose to keep watching me draw hearts and little symbols that represent just whatever they represent, something, I'm not sure. You can choose to go into your body now, and whether you feel depressed or anxious, I'm there for you. I'm your guide for this morning or this night, whenever you watch this. And so, as you feel into your body, you might feel nothing. You might feel numb, but that's okay. Even if you feel numb to the world, that numbness is valid. It's not something that you should avoid. It's something that you should, I'm going to say it, it sounds strange, but you should kind of be proud of the fact that you're able to feel a spectrum of emotion, even when it comes to feeling numb. You should tell yourself, oh wow, I'm able to feel discomfort. What an incredible thing. Because now I know I need to feel it, and then once it becomes intense, and once I feel really numb and bored to the world, I can let it go. I can talk to someone who I trust about it, and I can say with a deep breath, I'm letting this go, and it's time for me to surrender this pain, because this pain is not who I truly am. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in and letting me talk about these very open, honest things, because I feel as though I'm on a healing journey myself, and with each show, I'm going to bring more and more compassion, because I am healing as a person, and I went from, at 20 years old, having a very dense pain body, and pain body just means your sense of self and your sense of existence, everything feels so heavy. And I went from that to starting to feel like my body and the emotions in it are lighter and more in tune with what I truly am and what you truly are, which is like this tune that I kind of describe as, it's like, it's a very high pitched kind of vibration that feels very nice. And don't worry if you can't feel that right away. Everyone will feel that differently, but it all kind of goes back to love. And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm not talking about the love that you think I'm talking about. I'm talking about a love that is the emptiness in which everything comes from. And this love is so patient, it's so caring, that it will wait for eternity for you to discover it. It doesn't mind waiting that long. And I'm speaking from a place that is deep within. And so now we'll do a little analysis. I know that this was already kind of an analysis, but we'll kind of explore why it is I chose to talk about this. I chose to talk about this because, as I've mentioned, I'm going through a healing journey myself, and I know that by sharing this, it will most likely help. If I can help one person today, my job is done. And life is an evolutionary journey, and you need to trust that this evolution, so long as you follow, you don't need to follow my 3-step process, but so long as you follow a process of healing, whether it be yoga, walking, spending time with your grandparents, saying I love you to someone you haven't said I love you to in a long time, all these things dissolve the density that we feel ourselves to be as humans. And our journey, I would say, in a spiritual sense, is to become this light being of energy. And now, speaking of being and energy, I believe that there's a lot of energy in trees, and that trees are extremely still and patient. And it's funny to say that. I'm associating a tree with a human kind of emotion, but it's more of a sensation, the sensation that we're trying to tap into, because that is where true happiness lies, is to connect back with nature and to stop sensing ourselves as a separate entity and sense ourselves as merging with who we are, who we truly are. We've just forgotten who we truly are. But this whole show is about going back to that.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Long way from Nashville, and mama, I tell you that. Performed from Montreal to Boston to Los Angeles. But Toronto, that's my chosen home. Sure, when I'm walking down Yonge Street, I see some funny people who have the nerve to point the finger at me. And grin and smile and whisper. My song was #2 on local radio. Sold 10,000 in Toronto alone. Turned down Ed Sullivan because they asked me to remove my makeup. Wouldn't do American Bandstand because of their segregation policies. I was just being me. Never tried to explain myself to anyone. And besides, none of that to worry, Jackie, because I know I look good. Got a new way of loving, baby. Thought I want to teach it to you.
Jackie Shane was a pioneer transgender soul singer, a central figure in the Toronto R&B scene. She helped shape what we know as the Toronto sound.
I know I promised you we would go outside, but I did go outside and it was very cold. And so I'm gonna promise you something different. I'm gonna promise you an exciting thing, and that thing is this hat. And so how can a hat possibly be exciting? Well, let me show you. The hat, if you were to be mindful and observant, you can see that there's little kind of, it's all sewed. I don't know if sewed is the right word, but you can tell that it's like a strain, every line is different. And if you just take a moment to pretend like you're the one touching the hat, and if I were to stretch it, you might be able to see that there's a little bit of space here. And if I were to stretch it even more, and I know some of you are saying, don't ruin your hat. Well, I'm doing this for a reason. I stretch it even more, and then I compress it back together, and I stretch it, and I compress it, and you can tell there's a difference. And that movement is part of the universal kind of movement that we're all in. Even when we drive, even when I move my hands like this and I pretend that I'm driving, this is like the movement itself is part of like the fabric of the universe. And that might be an extreme way to look at it. And even my stomach growling, that's a sign that I'm hungry, but it's part of mindfulness. You listen to your stomach, you listen to the feelings, the sensations that are happening in your body. And in regards to the hat, you take the hat You notice the movement from this point to the point where it's like one continuous exercise of observation, and you put it on your head, and you kind of rub it on your hair like this, and it feels nice. Then you put the hat back down, and then you rub your head, you give yourself a massage, you rub your earlobes, and you realize, oh wow, everything's so tight on my face. And then you realize how stressed you actually are. And it's okay if you realize that. It's not something that you should, oh my God, I'm so worried, I'm so stressed. No, just, it's okay to feel that. And then you put the hat back on, and you slowly slide it. And one thing I like to do is I like to go in the shower, and I like to put my ears like this, and I listen to the water. I highly suggest that you do that, because it is so peaceful, and it's a very cool way to really be present. You shut your ears like this, and you allow yourself to hear like I'm hearing my voice, and it sounds so strange, but it feels kind of nice because I can actually hear the tone of my voice. And so now, putting the hat back on, because we're in a room, I notice the awkwardness of having a hat on. I feel the awkwardness, I feel its intensity, and then I let it go. I often talk about that because it really does help me, and I know that it might be able to help you. And so we do this. It makes a sound in my ears, like that. And I feel the pom-pom. And so I just wanted to show my appreciation for this hat and for you. And thank you very much for joining me today. And I look forward to showing you examples, making art with you, and telling you different ways to be more here and now. And the here and now is basically another way of saying, let's sense this world together. Thank you. Goodbye.